Hello, welcome to KBC's daily Bible study, going through the book Between the Lines by Glenn Scrivener. Today's title is Be of Good Cheer, and the text is Matthew 9, verses 1 to 12. The phrase be of good cheer sounds a little old-fashioned, doesn't it? But it appears in this text, reminiscent of ye olde speak, ye olde times. But the mystery here is not so much to do with the phraseology as to do with the context it was used in. There appears to be nothing cheery about the circumstances. But in the KJ version, that's not the Kevin Jones version, that's the King James version, Jesus uses this phrase when he's presented with a paralyzed man. And that's what he appears to say to him, cheer up. Doesn't really seem appropriate, does it? But Glenn Scrivener also points out that the same thing happens in other places too. So when a near hurricane blows up on the Sea of Galilee, when the disciples are out on a boat, the hardened sailors think they're going to die. Jesus says, be of good cheer, Matthew 14:27. Similarly, he says in John 16:33, the night before the crucifixion, Jesus tells his disciples to be of good cheer. And it sounds almost comical, doesn't it? I even found one in the same chapter, Matthew 9, verse 22, where Jesus says to the woman who touched his cloak in the crowd, be of good cheer. Be of good cheer, daughter. In fact, she'd been struggling with the condition for over 12 years. Amazingly, good cheer is what Jesus brings to each of these circumstances and the people in them, but in very unexpected ways. And in the case of the paralyzed man, in the text that we're focusing on, particularly, he brings unexpected joy, firstly in the form of forgiveness, not healing, but forgiveness. And you might think, hang on a minute, that's the wrong way round, isn't it? Jesus has his priorities wrong. Surely it should be healing first, and then forgiveness, or whatever else he needed. But no, Jesus looks on the inside and sees the heart, doesn't he? We know that from Scripture. And he realized what that man's real spiritual need was. He needed to know that there was a way to get right with God and receive forgiveness for all his sins. And guess what? That's our need too, our primary need. And Scrivener says that that's more important than anything else that we might want or need. Health, money, good job, and so on. Because sin is what separates us from God. So Jesus tells him, first and foremost, there is spiritual healing to be had, which results in reconciliation with God. But what shocked the original crowd, or the people listening, was that Jesus claimed to be able to do the forgiving. And to do that on behalf of God, well, to them that was blasphemy. That was making yourself equal with God. Who does this Jesus think he is? Well, we know who he is. He is divine. So he does have the authority to forgive. And to prove that, he followed up the divine claim with a divine act. He healed the paralyzed man, who got up and walked home. So Jesus did bring him good cheer. But Scrivener asks, if we could interview that paralyzed man now, what would he tell us? He'd no doubt tell us of the joy of movement again, but also that being made right with God through forgiveness was the crucial thing. And that gives good cheer, not just for now, not just for this life on earth, but also for all eternity. So I decided to go back to those original passages that we looked at right at the start of the study, and I wanted to reread them in different translations. And I found that the Greek word translated good cheer, let's have a go at it. It's tharseo. There you go. Be confident, even if you're confidently wrong. That's translated take courage in most modern versions. And when Jesus said it, for instance, with the paralyzed man, or with the woman who pressed through the crowd to touch his cloak, he often accompanied it with son or daughter. So he said, take courage, son. Take courage, daughter. So far from being a kind of a weird, rather absurd thing to say, cheer up, he was actually saying quite a touching, intimate thing, a moment of encouragement. Take courage, my son, my daughter. The woman in the crowd, well, she'd spent all her money on doctors to no avail. She'd come to the end of her resources. So that moment of encouragement and tenderness was really an encouragement not to give up. The paralyzed man, similarly, might have been tempted to give up. He'd tried everything else perhaps, and his friends bring him to Jesus when seemingly all other hope had been lost. Take courage, my son. I'm here. So that's his word, isn't it? I'm here. And when Jesus is here, he makes all the difference. He can bring spiritual and physical healing. Well, we'll leave it there. Thank you for listening. God bless. Bye for now.